So I am pretty sure that you're studying well and spending your time in a proper manner. Yes, you're planning your schedule, your syllabus accordingly. I mean, accordingly, as in whatever topic you don't know, you should do that first. Anyways, we were talking about diversity in living organisms, and in the last part, we have learned three kingdoms. As I already mentioned, we are going to learn plant kingdom and animal kingdom in detail. So in this part, I'll try my best. Okay, I promise I'm going to teach you plant kingdom complete in this part. So let's start. Okay, so you're able to see my screen now, and I'm gonna just make it on screen, slideshow. Let me put it on the full screen now. Okay, guys, so diversity in living organisms. Here, as I have told you, we will be learning about the plant kingdom, but first we have to understand its classification. Basically, there are two broader categories of the plant kingdom in which all these categories are there. So into that, we will be learning about Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Spermatophyta, and Angiosperms. Why they have mentioned it? Actually, they have written it in a wrong way little. Spermatophyta is further having two categories, gymnosperm and angiosperm. So we will be covering under Spermatophyta, gymnosperm and angiosperm. Fair enough. So now let's start learning about the kingdom plant. Guys, if a question come, a basic question onto the kingdom plant, obviously for all the category we have learned characteristic first. So for this also we have to learn the characteristic first. So what we have to write, they are multicellular, and obviously they have chlorophyll, they have a lot of plastids in which all the pigments are present. So here photosynthetic pigments are present which help in photosynthesis. So whatever show photosynthesis, they are under the plant category. They are having photosynthetic pigments which is present inside the chloroplast and in other plastids also. Types of plastid, you have learned that in cell chapter. Okay, and the rest property is that they are autotroph. They cannot change its location, but they show movement, internal movement. So they are phototroph and they show movement, which is actually we call it as the curvature movement, not the locomotion. Locomotion means location is getting changed, but they are not changing curvature. So there is just internal curve movement, like leaves are moving from. So that's movement of curvature, that movement. Anyway, now they have the cell wall, and their cell wall is made up of, in case of fungi it was of chitin, here this is made up of the cellulose. With that, a little, there's one more carbohydrate which is known as pectin, that is also present, but primarily this is cellulose, and again they both are type of carbohydrate. Like, we are animals, we can protect ourselves if it is winter, so we can accordingly wear. But in case of plant, there each and every cell is protected. Each and every cell is having the cell wall, and that's how they are protecting themselves. So that's about the basic characteristic of the kingdom plant. Now we have to talk about the classification. If you see, okay, so here they have written, we have a blank space here. Let me just utilize it. So in a broader way, as I told, there are 5 kingdom system classification. There are many kingdom system of classification, 2 kingdom, 4 kingdom. And even before that, people only started talking about the plant classification. I have told you this before. So let me mention it here. That classification, other than the Cryptogame, Phanerogame, there is another one. The result is same though. The plant kingdom, it is basically categorized into 4 categories. Algae, bryophytes, then we have pteridophytes, and then into that we do have spermatophyte. Spermato means seed, sperma means a seed, so they are having the seed, spermatophyte, and they are basically of 2 types, gymnosperm and angiosperm. How the seeds are present, on the basis of that calculation is there. Angiosperm further are of 2 types, dicotyledon and monocotyledon. Monocotyledon are comparatively the latest one as compared to the dio. So these are all the classification and all the evolution pattern that has been made by our great scientists. They all have been based on the evolutionary pattern. Here also evolutionary pattern is followed. Like I was talking in all the kingdom, there also. So here evolutionary pattern is followed. Algae are the most simple one, into the water. Bryophytes are getting out of the water. Pteridophytes are on the land. Spermatophyte are modern version on the land, and into the gymnosperm and angiosperms. So angiosperms are even the flowering plant. So that's the sequence. Now algae, they are undifferentiated, as in not undifferentiated, but no proper roots. Okay, I do one thing. I just teach you that one by one. For now, if I give you a brief outlook, it's better I just teach you, because now you know that's evolutionary pattern. That initially they're very simple, not even root, stem, flower, and all those parts, and then they started to have that gradually from pteridophyte, spermatophyte. Actually means spermatophyte, not even the pteridophyte. But yeah. Okay. So let me tell you another classification now. Another classification that you see, it was given by Ishler in 1883. There was a person, Ishler, who classified plant kingdom into two categories, Cryptogame and Phanerogame, and he categorized it on the basis of these are the known flowering plant and mainly known seed bearing. Flowering to chalo, you will not even be able to see in the gymnosperm. This is seed mainly. These are the known seed bearing plant. They do not have seed for the reproduction because they have spores. They show different way of reproduction. You will get to know. That include Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, and Phanerogame. They are the seed bearing plant. You don't remember this thing, because flowering plant is specifically used for angiosperm and not even on gymnosperm. Just remember known seed bearing and seed bearing, and it includes gymnosperm and angiosperm. Guys, wherever you see the word Thallophyta, that means algae. So this is another classification that you have to remember. If a question come where they are different, they are asking difference, you may say that here for reproduction spores are released and here for reproduction seeds and gametes are released. So you may call it them as a seedless plants. That's another difference. And you can call it as the plants with seed bearing plant. They have written these are the point, and you can add the examples. So I think you can just write 3 to 4 examples on the basis of this. That's a basic classification of the plant kingdom system. But anyhow, the one that I've told you, that there are total 4 or 5 category: algae, bryophyte, pteridophyte, spermatophyte, which has gymnosperm and angiosperm. So that makes 5 categories actually. That is what we will be learning in today's part. So the first thing, we have to start it from the algae. First of all, we have to understand that why algae is known as Thallophyta. So basically, thallus. Thallus means a mass of cell. A cell which is like, a lot of cells are together, just a mass of cell, not even too much differentiated. There is a word which is known as differentiated. Differentiated means getting a job, a work to do. I have told you this earlier. So Thallophyta is having a mass of cell which is not that much differentiated, because in a plant, different parts are present. Root, stem, leaves, flower, all the part. But in Thallophyta, you will not see all the parts of the plant, but they are showing photosynthesis. So algae. It includes primitive and simply body structure. The plant body is thallus, which is filamentous, appears to be like a filament thread. Colony, branched or unbranched. Example is green algae, red algae, and brown algae. This is green algae, guys, among the Thallophyta. So Thallophyta, one more thing that you will see, because Thallophyta used to be present inside water, as in they are present either in fresh water or they are present in marine water. For the conduction of liquid, they do not require, for the conduction of food also, they do not require any vascular tissues. Vascular tissues means xylem and phloem. Into the aquatic plant, xylem, phloem is not present. Here, vascular tissues means conducting tissues. Xylem and phloem, absent. Simple body structure into the water. So these are the basic category. Now talking about algae itself, that I'm in this category. So if I talk about the algae, we call algae as weeds also. Seaweeds. Seaweeds. Sometimes we write it as a kelp. So seaweed, there are many products also in the market. If you have heard, seaweed, shampoo, conditioner, many products are there. So that's very useful. Algae is also useful in the production of the protein or something, like you must have heard about protein diet and all. So extra nutrient, protein, nutrient, carbohydrate, whatever, how it is coming, it is extracted from the algae. This artificial protein that we take, no, that's extracted from the algae. Remember that. Algae have a great economic importance. Okay, let me tell you types of algae. So green algae, brown algae, and red algae. Their basic body design is same. If I talk about the photosynthesis now, 50% of CO2 fixation, this is done by the algae only. Almost 50% of the CO2 fixation, or you may say photosynthesis, that is done by the algae. They all have the same basic structure, that their body design is, but the color is different. Why color is different? Because they have a different pigment. Like green algae is having chlorophyll. They also have the chlorophyll. They show photosynthesis, but then there are differences. Maximum photosynthesis done by them among the algae, 90% is only by green algae. You must have seen ponds which are like totally covered up by the green layer. That's green algae only. One of the very famous example is Pyrogara. I don't know whether you remember or not, but into the cell chapter, I have told you A.V. Leeuwenhoek is the one that discovered first living cell, and that was only Spirogara. It was a green algae. Chlorella is also green algae. Algae is present in different shapes, different sizes. If I talk about Chlamydomonas, it is a Chlamydomonas. It is the name of an algae which used to be having very microscopic structure. And then there is Volvox, which appears to be in a bigger size and bigger structure. That's what I want to say. There are many examples of the algae. Now I have to tell you these three categories, though that's not in your syllabus, but for Olympiads, for NTSC, we have to know this. So in this picture, I have told you differences. You don't have to learn all the differences. You just remember red algae. You must have heard about Gelidium. Okay. Gracilaria is also there. Actually, they are type of red algae. Now you must be thinking in your brain, no, we have not heard. You must have heard about a gel named agar gel, which is used in the tissue culture experiment. This gel is extracted from the Gelidium and Gracilaria. This is a carbohydrate gel. This is also used in jams, candies that you eat, the jelly candy. Okay, so red algae mainly marine, brown is mainly marine, green is the one that you will also see in fresh water. They are also marine, but mainly into the fresh water. Here, a second example that you will remember is only chlorophyll A is present. Here, chlorophyll A and C is present, and here A and B is also present. Chlorophyll is of different types, depending upon the structure. They have a little different structure because all the things are biomolecules. Now they have a chemical structure. Now you have to remember the pigment. They have this pigment is important. Phycobilin, red algae, phycobilin it is having, and here it is absent. This is phycobilin absent. So phycobilin is only present in the red algae. Reserve food material is chloridian starch, laminarin, and starch. These are all type of carbohydrate. See, plant also show photosynthesis. After forming the product of photosynthesis, they store it in the form of starch. If I talk about human being, we store it in our liver in the form of glycogen. Now, every living organism store their food in certain way, and so is with the algae. Someone is storing it in the form of starch, laminarin, or starch again. These are all the points. Other point, I don't think you have to remember, but if you want to remember, you can, like thylakoids. Thylakoid is a part of carbohydrate. Sorry, chloroplast. I'm saying carbohydrate, chloroplast. So unstacked or in the form of stack, 1/1 pile of coin. This differences they have written. Fucoxanthin is also a pigment. So what I'm saying, whatever I mentioned, just remember that difference, nothing else. These are all type of algae, and I have told you example, green algae is also chlorella, Spirogara, Chlamydomonas is also there. Okay, so let me see if something else is left in your syllabus. No, nothing else. Thank you. We're done with this. I just cut my tongue. Are you biting me? Okay, let's move. I was saying, are you abusing me? I said, are you? Leave it. Okay, let's move forward. Now let's move forward. Let's talk about the bryophyte. Guys, wherever you see the word bryo, that means mosses. Mosses are a common name that we use for the bryophyte, but there are many types of bryophytes, which one of them is also mosses. Bryophytes are also aquatic. They are into the water. but they are also the one that not purely in water, but half of it. They also have the dual life in the water, outside the water. That's the reason that they are known as amphibians of the plant kingdom system. Now, as they're having a lot of water around them, they also do not require vascular tissue, xylem and phloem. Now their body is getting a little bit differentiated. They have root-like structure, not properly root-like. We call it as rhizoids, through which they are attached to the place where they are there. That is the root-like structure. Stem-like structure, leaf-like structure. To the leaf-like structure, we also call it as frond. That's a leaf-like, not the leaf, it's just like structure. I mean, they have started to have, little modification. So they require water for sexual reproduction. Why they require water for sexual reproduction, you will get to know here. Okay, so before I talk about this one, actually I wanted to tell you property of bryophytes, but let's see here. Bryophytes are mainly categorized into three categories: liverwort, hornwort, and mosses. That is not the example of the plant. This is a category example. Mosses further have example in it, hornwort, but you remember this much. That will be much enough for you. Liverwort, why it is known as liverwort? Because it's, it appears to be like a little liver kind of shape. And also they show reproduction. They have a little cup-like structure onto them. We call it as the gamma cup. This gamma cup helps in the asexual reproduction. They fall off and they form, new colony. So asexual reproduction. Onto this little cup-like structure appear. Hornworts used to be having little horn-like structure at the top. And at the base, horns appear. And mosses properly, as you see. Now, guys, before I proceed further, let me tell you, there are two terms I'm going to tell you that you have to remember, because I might use these terms. So one is gametophyte and one is sporophyte. Phyte means plant. Gametophyte means part of the plant which has gametes on it. Sporophyte means part of the plant which has spores on it. So gametophyte used to be having a half a set of number of chromosome. We call it as the haploid. Means half the number of chromosome, half. Sporophyte used to be the diploid one which has double the set of chromosome. Double the set of chromosome. Gametophyte used to form the gametes. Like in human also, male gamete fuses with female. Half and half meets to form the diploid again, means double set 46 is again. Same is in the plant. So in any plant, gametophyte and sporophyte, two parts used to be there. They exist together. That this is a sporophyte where spore will be formed, sporangium, it will release the spores. This part is gametophyte, here gametes will be formed. They coexist. Like suppose this hornwort is there. The base part is actually the gametophyte. This is the sporophyte which has spores in it. In the same way in other plant. Are you getting my point? Now they exist together and they show fertilization in these parts only. Spores are released, form the new plant. Now refer to this. Like suppose this is a plant. It appears to be like a hornwort only, but at the base, it is having a gametophyte which will be having gametes on it. Like this is the part of the plant which is having gametophyte. It is forming the gametes. And Theridium is known as male gamete, and Archegonium is known as female gamete. So onto the gametophyte, gametes are formed into the structure, male and female gamete. I mean sperm and egg. Fertilization happens, they form the zygote. Then zygote will form the sporophyte. So this is the parent plant in which sporophyte is originating now. So half the part is sporophyte, half the gametophyte. That's what I'm saying, that they coexist. Same story is happening on the plant. That onto the gametophyte, gametes, gamete means male part and female part, and Theridium is releasing the sperm, Archegonium is releasing the egg, fertilization happen, and onto the same plant, then from the zygote they form the sporophyte. I mean half the part will be diploid and half the part will be haploid. This is the parent. And then this is a sporophyte, and they have zoomed the image. That into the sporophyte, sporangium is there, which is having spores on it. They will release the spore, and then spore will again forming the gametophyte structure. Spore will germinate to form the structure. So spores are showing asexual reproduction, gametes are showing sexual reproduction. That coexist, I repeat myself again and again. Because that doesn't happen in the latest plant, like we talk about the flowering angiosperm and all. In bryophyte, story is different. This is how it happens. I suppose that's clear to you. Now, if you have any doubt, you can watch the video again and you know where you have to post. But I suppose that's very clear and very easy. You just remember two parts of the plant. In lower plant, gametophyte and sporophyte, they coexist. Onto the sporophyte, spore released. Onto the gametophyte, gametes released and fused with each other. That's it. Rest properties I have told you about the bryophyte. You can write it in the form of heading. Then in the heading, you can just write about the antheridium and archegonium, and you can talk about the examples. You can talk about the liverwort, that they are having the liver-like structure. Anything else? That's it. This much information is much enough for you. Thank you. Let's move forward. Now let's talk about the pteridophytes. Pteridophytes are the first terrestrial plant. They have come out of the water. They have a differentiated body. Root, stem, and leaves are present, not flower. They have a vascular system also. That's what evolution pattern I'm talking about, that this is being followed. From simple to things are getting complex. So for conduction of water and other substances, this is there. Now they have written the examples, see, Selaginella, Equisetum, Steris. So these are the plant. These are actually the part where spores are present. Into the structure, this appear to be like a leafy structure. But actually onto it, sporangium are present. They also release the spores, fertilization happen. One thing that you have to remember, antheridium and archegonium, naming thing is same in pteridophyte. They also have antheridium, archegonium. They also show fertilization that way. They also have gametophyte and sporophyte. Now, one thing that you have to remember. See, this is a plant. This is a plant. This is a sporophyte. This is a gametophyte. Onto the gametophyte, sporophyte. So they have sporophyte, which is comparatively dominant. In previous case, sporophyte and gametophyte are equally presenting themselves, but they have a little dominant sporophyte because sporophyte is more grown, if you're getting my point. So onto the sporophyte, this leafy-like structure are present, leaf of the young sporophyte. Acha, that's a young one, it will form to mature. Na? So this one leafy-like structure is known as sorus. Sorry, I take my word back. Sorus is just the group of sporangium. Actually, there is a little leafy-like structure. We call it as the sporophyll. Sporophyll is nothing but this leafy-like structure. Onto the sporophyll, many sporangium, spore-producing stuff is present, and group of sporangium is sorus. Sorai or sorus. It is a group of sporangium. Then here, sporangium, this is individual sporangium they have shown, which is releasing the spore. Now, guys, remember one thing. Spore is being released, and now this is another part. This is a gametophyte. I am telling you, sporophyte and gametophyte coexist. This part is present on the sporophyte. Spores are being released. Now the spore, it is going to germinate. It is going to grow to form this structure, which is known as gametophyte. From the sporophyte, gametophyte is formed, remember. So spore is getting released, it is going to form the gametophyte, and then on this gametophyte, gametes are formed. Archegonium and antheridium is present. They will release male and female, and they will fertilize to form the embryo. This embryo will form the matured gametophyte. Actually, now I tell you one more thing. This embryo onto the gametophyte is going to form this young plant. I repeat myself. Gametophyte and sporophyte coexist. Onto the sporophyte part, leafy structure, which are known as sporophyll, they are having sporangium. They will release spores. Spore will form immature gametophyte here. Onto the gametophyte, male and female antheridium, archegonium and antheridium is present. They will release male and female gamete, fertilize to form the embryo. This whole story is happening onto the gametophyte. इसके ऊपर ही हो रहा है. And after this embryo is going to form this plant, the sporophyte part. Story repeats again. Now, if you differentiate it from the bryophyte, they have a different sporophyte and gametophyte story. Their sporophyte is not that much developed. Their sporangium are not in groups. Fertilization happen. Gametophyte, sporophyte are formed. In this case, also gametophyte is half, and this is double set of chromosomes. The story is same, but then this is happening on the land. Here, spores are not moving with the help of water. For fertilization, also some pteridophytes, they require water, but not always. So these differences you don't have to get into, but that's what you have to remember. If you're talking about the property of pteridophyte, you can write these points. Also, you can add seeds are absent. Sporophytes have sporangia, and into that spores are released. And Theridium archegonium thing you can just write. They have well developed xylem and phloem. And pteridophyte represent the highest group of cryptogam. They fall under the cryptogramma. This is the highest group of cryptogam. I suppose that's clear to you. So you can also call it as the vascular cryptogam. Vascular cryptogam. Very easy to understand. Examples are written up there. Is that fine? Pteridophytes do not have big size. They have a little small size, but they have this leafy structure which are known as sporophylls. Now, guys, let's talk about the next category, which is Spermatophyta. You know what? In case of Pteridophyta, so this leafy structure, sometimes cone word is also used, cone. But the cone, they are more developed into the Spermatophyta category, into the gymnosperm. Into the Pteridophyta also cone word, you might say that, okay, cones are present, but here, these cones are present. So Spermatophyta are the category which has seeds in it. They reproduce by mainly with the help of seeds. And further, it is having two categories, gymnosperm and angiosperm. Guys, wherever you see the word flowering plant, that means they're talking about the angiosperm. Flowering plant. So in case of angiosperm, seeds are hidden. You cannot see the seeds, either in the fruit, in the ovule, where whatsoever. But here seeds are naked. It's visible. Now talking about the gymnosperm, they used to have the cones proper. In case of pteridophyte, single cone is there. That's not even very much well developed. But in case of gymnosperm, you will see different cone for male and female. Guys, these are example of the gymnosperm: coastal redwood, sequoia, uh, Douglas fir, western red cedar, European larch, squat pine, white spruce, and Italian cypress. These are all examples, and they vary in different heights. It can have maximum of 112 height and minimum of 20 meter. You see, even more than a home. My point is they're all gymnosperm and they are having cones in them. These cones are the one which help in reproduction. Like in the angiosperm, there are flower. But in case of them, this is the cone and they have a hard sporophyll. They also have the sporophyll. These leafy part of the cone is known as sporophyll. They also have spores. They also reproduce. Guys, one more thing. They also show pollination. Seeds are moving. I mean, the gametes are moving through air, through water in certain case, but yeah, maximum air. So, what else is left? Example, you can see. Into the gymnosperm, these are the basic things that you will be writing, that vascular tissue, xylem and phloem present. Proper root stem, everything is present. Plant body is well differentiated. Well differentiated. Male and female body, and they also have the sporophyte and gametophyte, but then they are sporophyte. Now from the pteridophyte, sporophyte starts to get more dominant because gametophyte is like a little structure where gametes are being a flower or a cone or something like that. So sporophyte is more dominant. In case of flowering plant also, you write the same. It is not like that, it's nothing like that gametophyte is not there. So sporophyte more dominant. So more property you can say. Do I have a space here? Okay, they have written about the fertilization. Okay. So into the more point, you can say that they appear to be the woody plant. Let me see. Naked seeds I have told you, woody plant, and it can be of variable size. Let me see. I have told you maximum of the point. Maximum point I've covered. But one thing I would like to say that I was telling that they have cone. So there is a separate cone for male and female, and their flowery structure onto the cone is known as sporophyll. In case of male, this is known as microsporophyll, and in case of female, we call it as the macrosporophyll, which produce spores. Sorry, that's sporophyll. And here microsporophyll. So this is a mature sporophyte here. This is mature sporophyte on which cone. In certain cases that also happen that male cone is present at different location, upside or downside, like that way. So this is a cone, ovulate cone. This is going to produce, this is single scale, means the sporophyll one part. It will show meiosis. It will show cell division. Into that cells are showing cell division. They are forming the male gamete, female gamete, megaspore. So this is a female gamete. This is a megaspore. And here pollen cone. This is ovulate cone, means female cone. And this is male cone, pollen cone. This is going to form microsporangium. One thing that you have to remember, microspore is used for the male gamete. Megaspore is used for the female gamete because of their size. Size is bigger in female and lesser in male. This is microsporangium, which is obviously going to show meiosis. Meiosis is the type of cell division where chromosome number become half. Please remember, it always happen in reproduction. So here they are going to form pollen, and here this is going to form the megaspore. I mean, into the pollen only male gametophyte is present, na? So this is a megaspore. So here also male gamete is reaching up to the female gamete. They literally like in the flower that happened. So that is reaching up there. Fertilization happens. Same pollen tube is also formed, and they will be moving further to form the embryo and the seed, and then a mature sporophyte is formed. Mature sporophyte means mature plant. The whole structure is a plant sporophyte only. This is how reproduction happen into the gymnosperm. Is that clear? Now, guys, I suppose that we are very much clear about the gymnosperm. And yeah, I mean, gymno itself, sorry, why I'm writing S all the time. That's GY, gymno itself means naked. Sperm means seed, so naked seeds. Fair enough. So now I suppose that's clear to you. The last thing I would like to say is examples. Example is pinus, pine tree, cedrus, which is deodar, RUS. This is DEODAR. That's another name. And cycas is also there. Okay, so we are done with the basic information on this, and I have seen your notes also. We are almost done, and that is information that's required for the pteridophytes. Now we will be moving toward the last part that everyone might be comfortable with, because that's what we have been learning since our lower grades. Angiosperms, the flowering plant. Angiosperms. Angio means cover. Here, seeds are hidden. Seeds are covered. They are not visible. Angiosperms are the seed-bearing vascular plant. They're the most modern one, well-differentiated body, vascular tissue, root, stem, leaf, flower, everything is present. And seeds are present within the fruits. We know that fertilization happen in them, and there into the plant, there is ovule, there is ovary, and there is nothing. I'll tell you. Ovule used to form the seed, and ovary used to form the fruit after fertilization. I was talking about the endosperm. So anyways, they are going to have nutrition in them. Like whatever vegetable part is having seeds in it, it was a fruit once. Even if it is a chili, a cucumber, a capsicum, orange, everything is a fruit. Tomato, it's a fruit. Technically, we call it as chili is a fruit technically because it has seeds in it. And the external thing that has been, which is a fruit, which is formed from the ovule. I don't know whether you're remembering this or not, but that's all the part of the flower that I'm going to tell. Wolffia is the small measuring. Angiosperm ke bare mein, I think you can just write a great information. They show photosynthesis. They have so much of the pigment system in present, as in they have different color, flower of different color, which help in, which attract the insect, fertilization happen, pollination happen. Angiosperm, this is the largest category of plant kingdom. In animal, arthropoda is there, but that's the largest phylum of plant kingdom. Please remember. Anything else left? Nothing. Okay, so now let me tell you the flower structure. I suppose I'm making a revision. Angiosperm is having all the part of the plant. Bud is there, pedicel is there. Through the pedicel, all the leafy part and everything is there. But ultimately, the flower, which is having the female part, pistil, which is having stigma style, and the central part is ovary. And then there's a male part which is having anther and filament. Male part used to have pollen in it, which we call it as the microspore. And then ovary, it used to have the female part. Technically, into the ovary there is ovule, and inside ovule female gamete is present. We call it as the macrospore. Also, we call it as the female egg. So when fertilization happen, this this anther is going to burst and all pollen will be out. Through air, it will reach up to the stigma and then pollen tube will form. They will go inside and then fertilization will happen. It's like with the pollen tube inside ovule, they will go and pollination will happen. And then in flower case, we call it as the double fertilization. So you may say into the angiosperm, double fertilization happen. Fair enough. So when double fertilization happen, inside the ovule or embryo is formed. And then when embryo is growing, it kind of taking the nutrition. It forms different parts. When embryo is growing, it is going to form the seed. Then seed will take its nutrition. It will be present inside the fruit. So this whole flower thing, which will be, shed off, and it will be only ovule and ovary, which will be there. Ovule technically is going to form the fruit, and then ovary will be the one which will be seeds inside. And the rest part of the fruit is like leaf and everything that just fall off. In certain cases, not in all the cases. That is also another point of discussion. But this is all about angiosperm. I suppose we are done with, and you can just say that they are having the reproductive part. This is how reproduction happen. They are present everywhere. In angiosperm are the flowering plant. They are present everywhere, as you can just mention. Okay. So talking about the further classification, angiosperm are of two type, monocot and dicot. Cotyledon. Cotyledon is actually formed onto the embryo. Like suppose this is an embryo. Onto it little, you must have seen that germinated sprouts that you eat. It also have the little leafy like structure coming out. And the seed inside is actually cotyledon itself. The leafy structure that come out, it's the embryo. The seed external part now is actually the nutrient providing thing. That the little part that is coming out, this little part is actually the embryo itself, and the seed part that you actually eating, it's nothing but the cotyledon that you're eating, which will be providing nutrition to the growing embryo. So depending upon one or two, monocot or dicot, one cotyledon or dicotyledon. Like in monocot, maize is the famous example. It is just one. In dicot, pea is the famous example because it's two. Or you may say mung or any pulses. A lot of them. Okay. Now, one thing that is important to you is the differences between monocot and dicot. Guys, if you feel I have spoken so much today, you have learned a lot, you can pause the video, write it up, because sometime I might go in a speedy way, but I try to cover everything and I'm trying to maintain my speed also. You can pause me. Okay. So monocot. And one more thing, guys, this question is really very important. Plant kingdom total is really, really, really very important. Learn each and everything about it, about plant and animal both. Actually, diversity chapter is really, really important. But anyways, monocot, dicot is something that can come as a 5 marks question. Okay, so into the vascular bundle means xylem and phloem. Differences is again really to be remembered. Into the monocot, they are scattered, no particular design. These are all the vascular bundles, xylem, phloem. This one thing that is in there, this is xylem, phloem together. So that's a bundle, vascular bundle. So there are so many bundles inside it. So in this arranged bundle in a ring and here scattered. So monocot is the latest one. This is the in an evolutionary pattern. Monocot is the latest one. Okay. Then seed leaves 1 and 2. I don't have to say that. Flower parts, multiple of 3. Flower part means either sepals or petal. In the flower, if I did not mention sepals and petal, petal are the colorful part and sepal are the green part in them in most of the cases. So now these sepal and petal are either present in 3 or 3, 6, 9, multiple of 3. And here they are in multiple of 4 or 5, like 4, 8 or 5, 10, 15, like that way. And here mature leaves are narrow leaves with parallel venation. There is a word which is known as venation. Venation means that onto the leaves how veins are present. If it is parallelly present, we call it as the parallel venation. And if it is in branching one, we call it as the branching venation. We also call it as the reticulate venation. Network. Now the one more difference is that which is roots, how their root is there. In first case, there is a fibrous root system, no particular design. We also call it as the adventitious root system. And in second case, there is a primary, secondary, proper management of the root. We call it as the Taproot system. Examples: orchid, wheat, rice, bananas, here oak, maple trees, cactus, and sunflower. So I suppose now that's very much clear to you. Watch this video again, you will be able to understand, because we have covered most of the things. I'm just going to show you things again so that do not forget it again. It's very easy, don't worry. So first we have talked about the classification, simple classification. Then we talked about cryptogam and phanerogam, how they are different from each other. Then we talked about algae, no particular design into the water, how they are surviving just by showing photosynthesis and eating up them. That's it. Algae can cause eutrophication, algal bloom. That's the point. Then three type of algae, not all the differences. You have to learn the one that I pinpointed. That's it. Next is, but then you can remember everything is there. I don't think you do not understand anything. Put it up on the discussion board if you don't get. Okay, so bryophyte, then we have to talk about which are the amphibians of plant kingdom system having semi-differentiated body. They show fertilization in the water by Anthridium and Archegonium, sporophyte and gametophyte. Sporophyte and gametophyte are also into the Pteridophyta, where they are producing male and female gametes. Same story happened, but they are latest one. They have a little more modification in root, stem, and leaves as compared to the bryophytes. And then we have the Spermatophyta, which is having gymnosperm and angiosperm. In gymnosperm, proper cones are there, proper pollination happens, seed habit we call it as. Like in the flowering plant, pollen are going with air from one place to another in the same way. But they have cones, and into the cone itself seeds move from a male to female, and then fertilization happens. And then we talk about the angiosperm that everyone is acquainted with. Proper pollination, seeds are male gametes are moving, different parts are formed, flower structure, how reproduction happens, are of two type, dicot and monocot differences we have learned. And I suppose we have covered a lot of things and I have exhausted. But few questions. How do gymnosperm and angiosperm differ from each other? Though you know that already, but FYI. You can write more points, can't you? Gymnosperm and angiosperm. Seeds, they do not have the seeds. Sorry, they do not have the flower. Examples, you can write examples. And they do not have the cones angiosperm, gymnosperm have. You can write all the differences. How are the criteria for deciding division in plant different from the criteria from the deciding the subgroup among animals? In the plant, vascular tissue, where they are residing, all the points. See, like in the starting now, when I started teaching you the chapter basis of classification, I mainly refer to animals, I told you. But what if we do it in the plant? On the basis of seeds, on the basis of cell structure, on the basis of morphological feature. Morphology means external. Externally, how they look. Cytology means a study of cell. The cell layer, cytology, morphology. These are the presence or absence of various deciding feature. Chlorophyll, you may also say. Type of chlorophyll also you may say. Whether they are on the land or on the water, where they're residing, that is also the point of difference. And then how fertilization happened, that is also the different point. And you can also say which one is dominant. Sporophyte is dominant or gametophyte. Is maximum case sporophyte from the pteridophyte category, but otherwise both are equal. Na? So sporophyte and gametophyte also you can just write. You can make it as a 5-mark question, guys. Come on. So thank you. We are done with this. So I have spoken a lot, and with this we are actually done with the topic plant kingdom. And in the next part, I'm going to cover animal kingdom. Animal kingdom is a big category. I promise I will not finish that in one part. I'm going to consume many parts of you guys. Keep smiling, keep studying well. I hope you're not getting bored, but that's fine. You have you have to cover the syllabus. So do not make yourself bored. Start eating something. Bye.